So in my recent ranking, there was a lot of you who were very skeptical with my placement of Don Lorenzo. And I said that it was for specific reasons, specifically due to the feats that we have, not only for Lorenzo, but for Rin specifically, because feat-wise, Rin's top verse, and I've had to say this, for the U20s, he is top verse. Feat-wise, if you use narrative reasoning as well as just common sense and logic when taking into account the narrative of Blue Lock, obviously Kaiser's better. Obviously his brother Sai is better. Like, you can't obviously assume that Rin is better than either of them at the moment, or on New Gen 11 status at the current moment, but that's completely conflicted when everything that we've been shown from his performances in the manga contradict that. So if he's truly above them right now, based off his performances, based off his cold, hard, raw, pause feats, then what are we arguing about? Truly, what are we arguing about? But I'm not here to talk about Rin anymore. I'll talk about that soon, but I'm not here to talk about Rin again. Today, I wanted to cover Don Lorenzo and just how good he truly is based off of the Bastard Munich vs. Ubers match that we saw. Starting at the very beginning, we first see Lorenzo when he initially stops Kaiser's advance in the beginning of the match. Obviously, Kaiser's kind of implied to have been able to score right here if Lorenzo didn't jump in the way and stop him. This was a very hyped up moment because this is the first time we actually saw Lorenzo, not only seeing Lorenzo, but the first time we've seen a New Gen 11 since Kaiser, which is the first time we've seen a high-level defender since Oliver Aiku in the U20 match, so obviously the hype was on another level. Stopping Kaiser is a feat in and of itself, but what he managed to do after the fact is kind of what sings more of his praises, if you understand what I'm saying. Even though he is a New Gen 11 center back, he excels at defense. Even his stats show he has 99 defense. Don Lorenzo is one of the best overall players in the entirety of Blue Lock. His dribbling stats are 93, but I don't even think that goes to showcase just how good it truly is. Being able to awkwardly shift his body weight, and momentum in a way that can throw off defenders and make him unpredictable is just insanely overpowered, as we were able to tell when he just zombie stepped his way through the entirety of Bastard Munich's defenses. On top of that, his playmaking skills as far as his passing are next level, as he's shown to move from his center back spot to the midfielder spot, switching with Nico depending on what the scenario is. If he has to play defense, then he's going back. If he has to play offense, then he's going up. It's kind of whatever's the most important, that's where Lorenzo will go. It just goes to show how important of a player he is to the Ubers lineup as a whole, but also just how dominant of a player he really is. That you can't justify Lorenzo over Rin specifically feat-wise at the moment is because his lack of feats coming from the fact that he had to man-mark Kaiser the entirety of this match. Now, that's no small feat. Man-marking Michael Kaiser and holding him to simply one goal, even though it was a super goal the one time that you stopped man-marking him, so that wasn't even really on you at that point. That's really impressive because no one else has been able to do that in the entirety of the manga, and no one else has been able to hold him in Ness's connection realistically until now. And it was completely negated throughout the entirety of the match until Kaiser admitted himself he had to feed off of Isagi's scraps. Even though he did manipulate the scenario to open up, it still was Isagi's scraps that he had to feed off of in order to get that goal. He'll admit that himself. And giving even more credit to Lorenzo while we're talking about this point, the second he jumped onto Isagi, all options of Isagi scoring completely went out the window. It was flat out no chance for him to score when Lorenzo stepped to him. The second that he wants to man-mark anybody else that's not Kaiser, they have no chance. Even when he's man-marking Kaiser's still trying to get open, gets there every once in a while, gets to a Metavision burst point, makes a couple good plays, but he just can't move freely due to the fact that he has a New Gen 11 elite defender just trailing him like a mosquito throughout the entirety of the match. And since no one else has been able to hold Kaiser throughout the entirety of the Neo Egoist League, you can already just tell that Lorenzo's defensive skills are leagues above anybody else's that we've seen realistically. While we are on the topic of the rest of his feats though, we cannot forget the fact that he did manage with his face to block a Kaiser impact, a shot that no one else has been able to stop, not even the goalkeepers, every single time we've seen it on the page, even when Kaiser is upside down biking the ball like that. And Lorenzo ate that shit to the melon. So you got to put a little bit of respect on his name. His durability stats are definitely up there, if you know what I'm saying. Now, you can't take away from certain things due to the fact that, one, Hiyori broke his ankles twice, I believe, and kind of sauced on him in the final play. Same with Isagi kind of being able to do almost everything he wanted in the final closing stages once Hiyori was in the match. Whether Lorenzo was still marked on Kaiser or not, it kind of seemed as if no one else had any impact on the game once Isagi and Hiyori made their connection. It felt like once Isagi and Hiyori made their connection, no one else could really do anything, and it didn't really matter who was on the page doing what. They weren't going to stop them. Even Lorenzo himself tried to stop them and couldn't, which goes to show, I guess, more so the strength of the connection of not just Isagi and Hiyori, but two Metavision users thinking reflexively. Not only that, but thinking not only reflexively, but having an image of the future in their head and playing off that beforehand. It just goes to show how much more overpowered that is than everything else in the manga that we've seen so far. That's why Itoshi Sai and Shida Ryusei's connection in the U20 match was so good that they managed to almost win the game in one single half. Some things that we can't take away is that we don't get to see him shoot very often. He is obviously a center back, a defender, and a midfielder at the most offensive-minded that he really is, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it is Blue Lock, so it would be cool to see him at least go for a screamer if we could. At the end of the day, Lorenzo is just here for a bag. Like, realistically, he doesn't care if he's better than you, if he's worse than you. All he cares about is the money. And I guess to that point, he would care if he's better than you, because being better than you in turn means that his bag's going to be bigger, and we all know Lorenzo's a bag chaser. You've seen the grills. But I think that attitude is deserved due to the fact that his skill is just so overwhelming on the defensive side of the ball, as well as in the midfield and the playmaking side of the ball. He's a really good all-around player, probably top 5 all-around that I'd say we've seen in the series besides the pros, which is impressive because there are some really crazy all-rounders. Let's not forget that there's a Kisei clone who can copy everyone's abilities and basically do everything that everyone else can do all in one. So, you know, it is an impressive thing. Like I have said, even though in my updated rankings, I do have Rin above Lorenzo and Kaiser, if I were to realistically rank all 4 of the new Gen 11, if I were to realistically rank all 5 of the potential new Gen 11 players that I'd say we have at the current moment, or I guess 6, I'd say, it would be Kaiser at the top, Sai number 2, it would be Kaiser at the top, Lorenzo number 2, Sai number 3, then Rin, then Isagi, and then Gagamaru below Isagi. Those would be the potential new Gen 11 prospects that I'd say. I don't think Baro is quite there yet, but at the same time, Isagi isn't there for striker. He's there for like a cam central midfielder, a playmaker realistically, because he's the best playmaker we've seen in the entire series. So don't come at me, that's just the truth. And then Gagamaru, that's obvious. No one's going to get mad at you for saying Gagamaru should be new gen. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. If you want to enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like and consider subbing up to the channel with post notifications turned on so you never miss another banger from myself. I'm going to have videos coming every single day all this month, so make sure you stay tuned for those. And if you enjoy Blue Lock or any other anime, please make sure to leave comments down below as far as what you want to see in future videos. And as always, I love you guys. Take it easy.